Let's talk a little bit about the spirit and the purpose that God has for us. See, I was watching a podcast from David Goggins. And see, just that name alone brings so much power because we hear his words. And not just the words, because I can come on here myself and actors know how to play roles. Mind you, I'm not an actor, but I'm saying if I was, I could be a liar. I could come on here and preach spiritually. I could preach physicality, brutality, all this nonsense of what it takes to be the strongest, the most hardest, to toughen up your mind, to strengthen your mind, to go be the best, to run 100 miles, to not stop, to dig deep. See, it's just the name of David Goggins. That's what he preaches. So it does spark that strong emotion inside of you that wants to become hard, that wants to become good. But see, what David said is he said, you're not going to be me. And that's the truth. All of us are not going to be David Goggins. We need to accept that right now. Some of us are not going to be David Goggins. And you know what's beautiful? We are not called to be David Goggins. But the point that I'm going to make here, David said, you don't have to be me, but the things that you need to do, you are not doing. It's almost what Paul says in the Bible. I know what I ought to do, but I don't do it. And see, we all have that feeling inside of us. It's not just one man. See, David knew in his mind he wasn't pushing hard enough. He wasn't going hard enough. He had more left in the tank. And that's physicality. Imagine us that are leaving so much more in the tank mentally and spiritually because we are weak, because the mind is not strong. We want to focus on these tasks. We want to give our all to projects, to school, to work, to our own goals, to our own mindset. Read a couple more pages. Go a little bit harder. Give it your all, but yet we don't give it our all. And so what David said really hit me deep in my spirit when he said, we are not all meant to be the same. We all have our own paths that we need to walk, but yet are we really giving it our all? Because what we know we have to do, we are not doing it. And we can be full of shit if we're not hard in the mind. So that is the goal of purpose. That is what God has planned for us. We need to step into with power and authority. See, when God calls us to do something, why are you letting doubt and rejection and shame get in the way of your God-given purpose? If God has called you to do something and you are letting the enemy get in the way of it, that doubt and shame, see, if God gave you the revelation of your purpose and what you need to step into, if there is another roadblock that comes in the way that says, this isn't for you, you shouldn't do it, it's hard, it's too hard for you, you don't know what you're doing, you see the excuses that pop in, let's pause for a moment. And let's ask ourselves, is this from God? The answer is no, it's not from God. See, what God has called us to do, God told us, this is what I need you to do. This is your purpose. I need you to go after it and I need you to chase it. See, God isn't going to baby you. God isn't going to hold your hand. Yes, the scriptures teach that. But at some point, it stops becoming about God and it more becomes about our own weakness. And we give up too easily. We give up way too easily. We have a goal in mind, but we stop 25% of the way. Some people don't even make it to 25%. Some people, see, there's people that want to do it, and there's people that will push through it, that will push through the door. But some people don't even open the door. They distract themselves. They don't want to see what's behind the door. They don't want to see what's in the dark corners of their house. They don't want to see what comes out of the door because they're scared. Now, my question to you today is, what are you scared of? Open the door. See what comes out of it. See what's hiding in there. Face it head on. Stop trying to run from it. That's the challenge I have. Stop trying to run from what's behind the door. And it's not a one-day thing. It's not a one-day thing. You open the door. Oh, that's what's hiding behind there. Okay, now I know what I need to do. And then you close the door and never open it again for another week, for another month. Nah, man. And see, it's going to be a daily task and a daily fight. And that's what Jesus taught us. I'm always going to refer back to God, because it's not just this crazy thing of I'm just a crazy Christian. I read the Bible. It all makes sense. I put my faith in this man, Jesus, right? Yeah, I put my faith in Jesus. But the question you got to ask yourself is why? Why did I put my faith in Jesus? Why is it wise to put your faith in Jesus? Jesus knows what's best. And when I say Jesus knows what's best, read it. Figure out for yourself. Ask yourself, does this man that is preaching to me, that is speaking, is he more wise than me? See, we put our faith and our trust in humans. We watch these videos. Mark Cuban, he's a business owner. All these great men, not to say that it is wrong, but a lot of these men, where do you think they got their knowledge from? They got it from someone that was above them, that had more experience in them. We all have mentors. And instead of putting your faith in a human that will let you down, that's when you need to ask yourself this question. Is there something more out there? Can there be something more out there? And if there is something more out there, do they have the best intentions for me? So that's why I put my faith in Jesus. And what Jesus said, his word stands true in my heart. I hide it in my heart. And I always remember when the times get hard, who should I listen to? We're all human. I would never tell you listen to me, because I go based off emotions. I go based off bias. I go based off life experience. So what I'm going to tell you is going to be based off my experience. So you should never put your faith in me. Well, who you should put your faith in is someone that loves you, that has trust, that wants to be a part of your life. So when Jesus tells you to pick up your cross and deny yourself daily, that means every single day is a decision to open up that door and open up that closet, see what's hiding in the basement, see what's hiding in the attic, and face it head on. See, Jesus said to deny yourself. Jesus doesn't want you to hide anymore. Jesus doesn't care about what's behind the door. See, when Jesus said pick up your cross and deny yourself daily, stop distracting yourself, that word still stands true 2,000 years later. You care too much more about what's going on in the phone, what's going on in the virtual reality, what's going on in Matrix, what's happening on Instagram, keeping up with other people. Brother, my sister, have you seen what's going on in your own heart? Have you challenged yourself? And see, I'm not going to tell you to go push yourself to your physicality limits. See how far your body is willing to go before it starts to shut down, and see how deep you can take the mind. See, it's a rabbit hole of strengthening the mind. So I'm not going to dive too deep into it. But what you know you need to do, are you doing it? So the question lies today. What has God called you into? What has God called you into? And if God has not called you into anything, if you're still running around here like your head is chopped off, like you're clueless, you're reaching in the dark trying to figure out what's happening in life, are you listening to God? Is God speaking to you? Are you making time for God? See, if you want a relationship with me, right, and we never hang out, you never ask me to hang out, I never ask you to hang out, don't you think our relationship is going to stay on the surface level? Don't you think when you see me, it's just going to be, hey, John, bye, John? That's the same thing for God. See, when I tell you to open up the door and see what's behind the door, it's really just to connect with God, to not let these thoughts haunt you, to not let these, dang, I got to do that. and then you hide it in the back of your mind. No, I want you to face that head on, because that's where God is. God is going to be where the trouble is. God is going to call you into uncomfortability. Is there ever going to be a day where God calls you into a day of nothingness, a day into sitting in the room and sulking, a day into, oh yeah, you know what I have planned for my son today? I want him to lay in bed. I want him to feel bad for himself. I want him to gloat. You think that comes from God? Brother, imagine if you was a father, if you were a mother, if you're a lady watching this, if you were a mother, would you ever say today, I want my kid to sit in their room isolated and not come out? Even if the day is hard, I'm not telling you, see, this is what I'm saying, I'm not God. I'm not telling you to go push yourself to your physical limits. But what I am telling you is to face it head on, and God would never call you into nothingness. So if you are still struggling to know what your purpose is, it is probably because you have not opened the door and you are scared to see what's behind the door. So boss up, puff your chest out, open up the closet, and go find out what is hiding behind that door. And for some people, that means sitting in silence, turning off the distractions. What God has called you away from, first, he will isolate you. He will isolate you from these things that are keeping you in chains, keeping you in bondage, and holding you to your identity, to your ego. When God calls you away from that, it's time to answer the phone, and it's time to say yes, and it's time to say, all right, I don't know what's behind that door, but I know that you have good intentions for me, and I know that you love me, and I know that I can do it with you. God is never going to take you to this place, walk you, hand out, drop you, and say, all right, I'm finna turn my back on him, and I'm not going to help him. Man, if that's how you're feeling, that is wrong, and you need to repent. And maybe that's the lesson that God is trying to teach you, because God will put you in certain situations to test you. God will put you through the fire. I'm in Isaiah right now, and it said that I have put you through the furnace to test you, to see what you're all about. And when God is testing you, it's time to stand firm in it. See, if God removes his grace and his mercy from your life, does that mean we stop serving? Does that mean we forget about the testimony? Does that mean we forget about all of our life experience that has happened? Or do we remember what God has done for us? And we say, even if you have removed your grace from this point, I will continue to stand firm in your word, because you are good, you are holy, you are righteous, and you have the best intentions for me. And I will persevere and endure. See, James says to persevere through all challenges, all situations, because we know that God is going to be there for us, and it creates perseverance. It creates hope, and hope doesn't put us to shame. So the challenge for today is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid what's hiding behind the door. Open up the door, step into that God-given purpose, that God-given calling. And if there's any roadblocks, if the devil's in the way, if there's friends in the way, if the flesh is in the way, if the world is in the way, who can be against us if God is with us? See, when you finally step into that God-given purpose, that God-given authority that he has blessed you with, that he has blessed all of us with, there's going to be a time when you feel like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? There's so much that I need to learn. There's so much that I need to do, and nobody's with me. I'm not spending my time around people anymore. I'm not in the world. I'm not having fun anymore. This is weird. This is lonely. I'm in the dark. See, you made it. You made it. Shut up. In all gentleness, in all lovingness, shut up and stop overthinking it. You're at where you are exactly where you need to be at. And the minute that you find out, that you begin to question, am I doing this right? Are people against me? Why am I isolated? Brother, that is it. That is exactly where you need to be at. And you need to calm down. You need to take a couple of deep breaths, and you need to tell yourself, this is where I need to be. And I am blessed to even know that I found my purpose and I'm on it. Even if I don't have it figured out, what beauty is it? Your purpose is something, and you figure it out the first day, the first week, the first month, the first year, and you get it perfected. See, life is ever growing. It's ever changing. It's ever enduring. We just need, and we need to have that that positiveness, that reinforcingness to remind ourselves that, yeah, I'm in the fire. Okay, but sometimes you got to go back to the sanctuary. You got to go back to the sanctuary. You can't open up the closet, hide up in the closet, and close it when it gets hard. Oh, I got lost up in there. Let me go restart something new. Maybe another revelation is going to come to me. If God has told you something one time, God is stern. God is a man. God has wisdom. God is not going to constantly remind you and then tell you, yep, this week your purpose is that. Next week your purpose is that. Oh, the month after I need you to do this. If God is a man of order and he's calling you to do something, he's going to tell you once, maybe twice, and then he's going to be silent. Oh yeah, he's going to be silent until you face your fears, until you stop saying, I don't know what to do, and then you rely on him. You say, God, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to persevere. I'm going to continue walking in the light that you have provided for me. So let us do that. Let's stop running. Let's open up the closet and let's accept God, because we know that he gives us hope. Let's stop hiding. Let's go deeper into it. Let's go deeper into our calling. Let's walk into our purpose and authority that God has given us with a grateful attitude, with a mind of I will accomplish, with a mind that I will conquer, with a mind that I will succeed. Stop worrying. Get out your head. Stop worrying about the future. Stop worrying about the past, and go deeper and go harder into it. Come on.